So today I want to look at kind of the original stuff from Punch Drunk Zen. Where it originated from was I was in jail, and it was an idea that I had, something that I was working on, and I thought it would make a damn good comic book. And I actually have the original writings from jail. And I guess we should talk a little bit about jail and basically how that time period was really a boom for me as a creative, and how I spent most of my time just reading, writing, and creating art. So let's go ahead and peep this stuff out. So this is a pile of writings that I found. That most of this was all, well, not most of it, all of it was done in jail, but I spent different years in different prisons. So I'm not too sure what prison was which. There's some gang writing on there. I'll try to keep the gang writing to myself. Boom, and so I found it. Cover up some of that gang stuff. So I have a whole bunch of writings that I did when I was locked up. The truth is, I did quite a bit of time, and so stuff like this would help me kind of get out of it. But basically, originally this character was going to be called Ding Ninja. It was supposed to be like Ding, like he keeps getting his bell rung by just getting his ass beat. But ultimately the idea was Ding Ninja would be a comic book about ninjas that dress up at night in their ninja outfits, going around the different ninja schools and fighting to see who is the best ninja. And there's other things here that I had lined out that now that I'm older and I reread this, I'm like, that's not gonna work. That doesn't make any sense. It's not fun to me. A lot of what I wrote down in here. Some of the ideas was his teacher wasn't gonna like him. There's a little kid named Richie, which my name is Richard, but my family called me Richie. So, I kind of like inserted myself in there as, the kid that's watching this ninja trying to get to that point. This character was always supposed to be a Hispanic character, because when I wrote this in my mind, I kept trying to think of a famous Hispanic or Latin American or Chicano mixed martial artist, and I couldn't think of any at the time. And still at the moment, I know of a few, but I can't think of any that have really reached kind of like the level that some of the other mixed martial artists that are in movies have reached. So that was kind of the idea. And so I took that idea, and that's still going to be predominantly the new character, which is Juan Pablo Sanchez. That's that character's trajectory of he wants to become the first Mexican American mixed martial artist to really reach, I guess you could say, like Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris status. And so that's kind of what he's fighting for. And with that being said, I also took this idea of the ninja schools, but instead of ninja schools, it's going to be mixed martial arts schools. And so Juan Pablo Sanchez is going to keep going to these different schools, because at night their main fighter from each school, basically they're involving themselves in like these street fights, and then through these street fights, obviously every issue you're going to go to a different school, and then the character's going to learn a different lesson. And so that's kind of what the idea is behind it. And I wrote this, let me see the writing, because I usually dated the writing. I must have done this when I was like 18. But it's so weird how I saved it, because I didn't save all my jail writing, right? You can see like a bunch of it here. I didn't save all of it. I saved the stuff that I found most interesting. But I didn't save all of it. What I ended up saving, and it's been kind of compiled into stuff that I want to work on later, is these ideas that I have that I think are fun and interesting. And this was one of the ones that when I was rereading some zines, getting ready to do a zine review, I kept thinking about this idea that I had, and the Punch Drunk Zen is actually what I named it at the time. So that comes from that long ago, Punch Drunk Zen, because the idea was that the lessons learned through each battle might not be something you would learn in school, but it's something that you should learn. And that was the idea of this Punch Drunk Zen. This idea that, because I thought highly of Zen, actually. A lot of the readings that I did in jail on Zen really helped me just do my time and really get the most out of it. And so a lot of the Zen concepts really stuck with me, but my interpretation of it mixed in with, jail, gang culture, and shit like that, it really skewed it. You know what I mean? It was a very weird mixture that, you know what I mean? Like, anytime I talk to people about my outlook on life and shit like that, they're like, there's things that they're like, yeah, that makes sense. And then there's things that go like, what the hell? Where did that come from, Rich? And that's what I refer to as like Punch Drunk Zen, like things that make sense, but they're skewed just a little off because of either the delivery, the execution, and things like that. So that's where the name comes from, Punch Drunk Zen. And that was the other thing, Punch Drunk, because in jail I used to drink a lot of Pruno, and I would make Pruno, and so I just felt like I needed to add that in there, Punch Drunk Zen. So like that's kind of where this idea for this story came from. So I'm glad I found it. Once again, this is one of the reasons why you should always save your writings. You never know when you're going to come back to something, or when you start working on something and then you realize that you can really mix this into it already. And so maybe one day we'll go into some of the other stuff I got right here. But that's so weird, man. Even in jail, it was like, a comic book about just to show you guys that, like, even in jail I was like still like thinking about comic books and things like that. And actually the first screenplay I ever wrote is in here too, and that was also done, but that was done in the county jail. I had caught a court case in YA. Oh look, I got the list of everywhere I went to too. I went to Fred C. Nellis, that was closed down because they said they were inhumanely treating the kids. I was one of them. Then I was at Herman G. Stark, which also closed down because they said it was inhumanely treating people. I went to back to SR, where I ended up getting surgery and I had to be there for a little bit. Then I went back to Herman G. Stark. Then I caught a court case as an adult, which maybe one day we'll talk about. Got kicked back to Herman G. Stark, and then that's when they finally closed it down for being inhumane. Went to Ventura, went to Preston, and then parole, LA Watts, discharge. And I know I never talk about jail, but why not, since we're being nostalgic about some of my jail writings. Alright guys, that's all I got for you guys today. I know I don't usually talk about jail or my time in jail just because I don't ever really find it relevant. But today, why not go down to some nostalgic shit and really just talk about Punch Drunk Zen, the origins of, and just kind of, that whole fucking stretch of my life where I really became more of a creator during that than I did anywhere else, because obviously in jail, and especially me, because I wasn't very well behaved in jail, so I spent a lot of time, and whether it was called behavioral treatment, whether it was called special management program, they kept changing the name, but basically it was like almost just like, I guess some people would just refer to it as like lockdown. I would go out, fucking get caught up, and then spend, if I was lucky, 23 and 1, but more than likely it was like 30 minutes out of your room a day and shit like that. So not very much time to be out socializing and wasting your time on a bunch of bullshit. So I was just in a fucking cell reading, writing, and just creating, and that just stuck with me, because I don't know if you guys saw the timetables, but I did close to 9 years. So it was a big portion of my life up to that point, and I got out and I kind of just continued that shit. But alright guys, enough of that stuff. Thank you guys for watching. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you guys are interested in the shit that I'm making, don't forget there will be a link in the show notes for you guys to go ahead and get some of the issues of the Feral Comic Project that already came out. Get a subscription so you get the next one as they come out. And beyond that, go ahead and like and share the video so that it helps us keep growing. Thank you guys. Lates.